Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, February 10th, as I check the date as always. Man, I'm parched. I'm really thirsty. What's that, Evan? Thank you for asking. It's San Pellegrino Orange. Taste the fruit. No. San Pellegrino, send the check. I'm now charging you because I wanted to be your sponsor, so now you need to send me that money. Otherwise, I will see you in court. No. Can you imagine if a company actually chose me to sponsor them? They would definitely be in Chapter 11 and have the CEO fired the next day. That's okay, though. Well, today is the 10th. We do our daily watch list here for you. We have 8 bangers a day. They're going to be really, really good. You're really going to enjoy them. With that being said, beginner stock traders, this is for you. All the technical analysis you need to have is all right in front of you. I break it down for you very slowly and methodically, show you everything that I see in real time. Intermediate traders, if you're playing Sandal right now, good for you. You're playing NIO, good for you. Microsoft at the big breakout, good for you. You need to diversify your stocks. AMC, GME are all misnomers and they happen once in a lifetime. You need to make sure you find things like this to diversify and also pad your stats and really protect your capital. I'm here to help. If you enjoy the content that much, please consider in the description box joining our Patreon Discord channel. It's no pressure. I'm not going to take anything off of YouTube or pull back anything because it is COVID, and I promised from day one I would never take away anything during a pandemic. I just have upgrades. Now, in like a year, when everything's back to normal, yeah, I may pull some stuff back and give extra opportunities for people to buy in. But for now, if you like the content, there's no pressure to join. I don't want anyone feeling pressure. I'm not that kind of guy, but it is available to you. It's a great channel. Some perks that people get will be on screen. They get the channel at 2:20 p.m. live stream. They've already watched it. It's already good to go. So all their stock picks they're looking at right now at 3 o'clock, already being looked at. They can go through them. I also give a nightly newsletter of all the breakdown of the stocks that we're looking at. And then every morning's a morning briefing, among other things. A big community of people, really helpful. If that sounds interesting to you, check it out. Again, with that being said, 2 things. I do not pull anything off YouTube for now. Stay here. If you want to just do that, that's great. And 2, I still encourage everybody to go find knowledge. I'm not the only person on YouTube you should be watching. I should probably be the funniest or the best hair, but I should only be a pillar in this system that you choose to, to use. Now, if you're a swing trader, yeah, I should definitely be up there. I'm not even being cocky. Like if it comes like 9 to 5 people, I'm your dude. But plenty of other people, go look them up. Rainer Tao's great. Charlie's great. Ricky's great. There's a bunch of great people you can go watch. But again, I'm not someone who's trying to steal you from other Discord chats or from other YouTube channels. I should be here. I'm a resource. If you want to use me, that's great. With that being said, let's get in this watch list. So again, the best list is called a poop list. Again, we would change it, but we've had good streaks. We're not going to change it now. It's like you can't be like a sports fan and then just change your clothes in the middle of a game. You got to wear the same jersey every single week or you're fake. So we have 8 plays a day, 8 really good ones. The rest of these, there's quite a lot of them. So again, this is going to be a really quick additional stuff. These are plays for intermediate traders. Anyone who has the ability of watching 5 or 6 plays and planning ahead themselves, these are plays for you guys for sure. So keep your eyes out for these as well. If you're a beginner trader, do not touch these quite yet unless you like them a lot, but otherwise stick to these 8. So let's get into it. So our first play is ACCD. We've called this before like 3 or 4 times, and we've hit it every single time. Now, the first time we called it was over here, and it ran up, and then we waited. We called it again over here, dipped down, called it again. We called it over here. It ran, like 13 or 14%, which is really good returns for a short-term investment. And we're calling it again. Now, this is definitely making what looks like an ascending triangle. And you could also do this line. And I mean, that's obviously there as well. You can just go right here and over. And you can see that definitely lines up as well perfectly. I'm keeping this one just because I think it's a little bit more tame. And it may not be the perfect line, but again, I think the point's still very clear to us that this is definitely where it's going to reverse at. It just tapped into the channel, and it's already shown from here 4% of life. So if you want to take on that little bit extra risk, I certainly would. It's going to be a much more volatile stock compared to some other ones, and we got to be careful that this is not going to turn into a triangle here. So that's kind of why I'm saying if you want to wait, you certainly can. Because you can say it's an ascending triangle for sure. You can also say that it's also becoming a horizontal triangle if it doesn't actually break above that downward trend line. But even then, we're talking easily 7 or 8% if that's what happens. So that's not a bad call at all. You're going to want to have your stop loss probably somewhere in the middle of the channel, and if it shows life, buy it back in, because you don't want to have this thing just collapse on you. Because there's a chance it comes back down to like, this area over here. Oop. It comes over to this area down here, and possibly comes down, makes a new channel. So it's showing higher lows across the board. This is a great area to buy into. It's a really easy play. At worst case, it becomes a horizontal triangle, 8 or 9%. Best case, it blasts off 20-25%, which isn't unheard of. So ACCD is sitting in a really good spot. Great trend line, multiple line up really well. Great convergence. Let's check our indicators. So it's definitely following the 200 EMA line really, really well. And we can clear the set real quick to look at it. We'll load back up in a second. Definitely does 200 bounces. It's getting close again. So you got to kind of think, do I want it to break down to the 200 again and get that play, or do I want it to have price action? I'll take price action every day of the week. It's also holding on the 50. That's going to be your bounce play. And once it breaks both, it makes huge gains. And it just broke above it, retested it. This could be a huge play right here. That's a great thing if it holds at 50 today and keeps going. That's going to be awesome. RSI is fair, again, because it's consolidating. Consolidation means big moves. The stochastic's in the middle, which again is consolidating. Vortex is low, where it almost always reverses at. So that's a great sign. So do I think it's going to be a 10 out of 10? Yeah. If it shows some green tomorrow, we have a good morning and it goes green, can be a fantastic setup for sure. I like it a lot. ACCD needs to be on your guys' watch list. Next is ACI. This is another good stock. $16. We have some cheaper ones on here along with the big expensive ones, so everyone's going to be happy. Obvious trend, right? This is super obvious that's going up. And what's cool is this is actually what you can see is almost like a picture-perfect bump and run, if you want to Google what that is. It had higher spikes, and then it broke that and came right back down to the trend line. So that's also a good sign that this is a very strong support because it held here. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. So it's really a strong trend line, and it has earnings beneath it. It looks good. It could drop another 2 or 3%, but are you going to you're really going to like give up a great play for an extra, the difference is 0.89%. That's $8. You put in $1,000. I think anyone who can invest $1,000 is losing sleep over $8. You're out of your mind. So it has plenty of room here for you to kind of buy into. It's going to take its time, I think, right here. The reversal shapes, you see how kind of all these are really bullish, like cup and handle, as you would call them sometimes. Like you have your cup, and then you have your handle. You have your cup, then your handle. It takes its time, and you just had this. It was a really quick drop off. I think we may see, over the next week, 4 or 5 days, a nice little turn here. It may take its sweet old time. That's great. Let's say you buy in today. Worst case, 4%. And again, that's your worst case scenario. It's not terrible compared to what other folks be peddling out there. Best case, we're talking maybe 10. If it does pop off, 14. But anywhere to 8 to 10% is the goal you're risking to. Great, risk versus reward. A 1 to 4 ratio. Looking really, really good here. I like it a lot. Let's check the indicators. So it breaks the 200 to come back. Okay, we can zoom in. Breaks the 200, breaks the 200, breaks it. And what's it do? It always comes back. So while we have this consolidating, that's a great sign. It's right here. And you can see that the 50 needs to get broken. You see how it's tapped and didn't live? That will be your signal to really go long. If you want to get the best deal possible, yeah, buy in now. If you're afraid of risk, look back historically. Every single time it has broken the 50, what happens? Breaks the 50, 8%. Bounces off the 50, 9%. Right? So we're setting ourselves up to be able to play this multiple times. Once it breaks it, and we go along. But otherwise, it's still a great value. RSI is super low, right? It could get lower, but it looks really good for where it is because you showed some life here. Stochastic is super low, and then your Vortex, again, is low. It should be lower for really big moves, but given the fact that it's trying to break the 50, it's a good area for it. Looks pretty good. So ACI, Albertsons Company, Inc., do your research on it. See why it dropped off so hard, right? Probably because dividends got paid out or something, or you had a really big run-up post earnings. So why did it do that? But again, a great area to buy into. ACI, I like a lot. So next is ALDX, Aldera Therapeutics. Therapeutics plays, you must always check your fundamentals. It may look like a good play technically, but you hear one bit of bad news and shit hits the fan and it drops off the face of the earth. So make sure you know what it's doing FDA-wise. I do like this trend line up. It looks really good. When this breaks, it's going to come collapsing down, I think. So you have a really good area of stop loss where you want to set it. You can use ATR, trailing stop loss. You can just measure the candles. But you have very clear, like that's a support, that's a trend line, both break, you lose 2.5%, it comes crashing down, you're okay, right? So that's a really good sign. That's really, really clear in that regard. Plenty of profit to be made. You can say it's making a horizontal triangle, which isn't bad. You want to see that possibly. And again, on a good move, no, still 13%, nothing to be upset about. So ALDX, good channel up, good trend line, a possible horizontal triangle. And if it breaks above that and goes crazy, you're going to make a lot of good money. So it's a really good setup. Let's check the indicators. So 50 EMA bounce, you can see it does that often. How long did this take? It took almost 7 days. We are in day 1. So we have about, if we go off historical, consolidation, 6 days. It doesn't always, plan out that way. Sometimes you can see over here, it tapped and jutted off almost 12%. How many days was that? 3. But over here, consolidated down for almost 14 days. So it's not always going to be exactly the same, but you have an idea. All right, last time it took 8 or 9 days. It's day 1. I got at least 2 or 3 to decide and make my decision. And you have some other stocks that are kind of consolidating too long. Maybe you switch over to ALDX. It's always an option. RSI looks good. It's pretty much in the middle. You want to see it maybe a little bit lower, but it does reverse in this area. You need to be dynamic. It looks like we have a divergence, and I'll talk about this on Friday for my boys on Discord. You can see here and up and here and across is not the same. When the bottoms do not match, you have a bullish divergence. It's as simple as that, honestly. So that's definitely a divergence. That's a good sign for you. Vortex is down where reverse is at. So again, it would be a 10 out of 10 if we had like previous price action over here that was like all the way up here. If we had like something like this, yeah, this would definitely be a 10 out of 10. But saying that's like all-time high areas, it's really overbought compared to over here. I assume there's a fundamental news catalyst. I brought it up. So I wouldn't be too worried. But again, a good 9 out of 10, borderline 10 out of 10 play just because the stop loss is obvious and risk versus reward is definitely there for ALDX. Next is CDAY. I like to draw my trend lines perfectly. And if I were to do that, you can see that it also really lines up well over here. Now, it's not perfect, and this day was horrid. But guess what? It was earnings. And what happens during right after earnings? Bounce backs. What happened over here at earnings? Oh, shit. Boop. What happened over here? Oh, shit. Boop. So I'm not overly concerned about this red day. The trend line's obvious. Like, it does have a lot of action that stops here. Then again, a lot of Forex traders use like these kinds of trend lines, and I think Forex is fine. It's just not my thing. And it looks like it's showing some life already. It tapped into this channel. These allergies, man. Tapped in this channel up 2% from where it tapped in, which is really good. It's definitely, even if this is a channel play, you're buying at the bottom of the channel. That's great. Worst case, you go up. I made 7.5%, 7.4% really quick. And this thing moves very quickly, very quick reversals. But given the fact that there was earnings and it crashed, and these both were 18%, this was 9, and this was 9. That's right in line with the last one. When we see some green, I'll definitely go long for sure. First green candle I see on the 4-hour chart, go in. I assume EMA lines are probably gonna be above it, but let's check them out real quick. Yep, it hasn't broken the 200 in a long time, but what happens when it does? My boy, it comes back. Let's not freak out, right? We're in a bullish market. Everyone has such short attention spans. This morning was red, or this morning was green, and then this afternoon was red, and now we're kind of coming back. A lot of folks are like, Jesus, what are we going to do? We're swinging. This is a 180-day chart. We're holding for 8 to 12 to 15 days. 2 red hours is nothing, so it's fine. Just, relax. It's okay. And as I always say, when you break both EMA lines, you get huge, and I mean break up. When the price takes over the 200 and the 50, you make really good profits. That's going to be far away, so if you want to wait, that's great. You can probably set an alert, and I can show you how to one day. If you're curious, how to set an alert for EMA crossovers or price crossovers, that's totally fine. It was oversold. It does get oversold on big red days, and we're getting down there. But let's be dynamic. Does it reverse a lot in the 34 to 36 range? By golly, it does. And we're right there. That's really good. Stochastic is super low, and the no divergence matches up. Vortex, it could be lower, but it also does reverse here as well. So again, a good 10 out of 10 play. Do your fundamentals on what Ceridian HCM Holdings does, but a great technical setup. It looks really good. And just looking at it real quick, make sure you attach your tops as well. Make sure like these line up really well. Just make sure you have those there for when you get close to cashing out. If you see like a triangle forming, you don't get stuck bag holding because you wanted to wait and see, right? But it looks really good from here. CDAY is a great setup. Next is DD, DuPont de, are they French? Gross, next one. I'm kidding. Maybe they're Canadian. Ooh, I don't know. Super obvious trend up, and it's not perfect. See how I broke it over here? So it could be shifted down, which is fine because you can see the price actually broke it. So you can be like, well, actually, it's probably closer to like this. Yeah, that's probably fine. It only tapped twice though, like once, twice, 3 times technically, and now we're down here. And I also tapped here, so it's fine. This is definitely a down. This has definitely been downtrending, right? But now we're hitting this channel. So what's going to be more powerful, right? Your earnings call, which historically what happens during earnings? Shits the bed. What happens during earnings? Shits the bed. What's it doing over here? Shitting the bed, right? You guys have kids. You've been there. I don't. Dude, COVID with kids? I can't even imagine. God bless you. This is definitely a good area of value. Super evident where the stop loss needs to be. It's only 3%, but the upside can be anywhere from like 15 to 20%. And I remember this real quick. Let's check out volume profile. That's next. Never mind. This is correct. The volume profile is fine for this one. All right. So it's pushing the 70% volume range. It wants to push this higher. Stay up here. If it does come here and hit and bounce off, a fantastic play. Super evident where the stop loss needs to be, anywhere down here in the in the 69 range. Oh, there it is. Put your stop loss right there. Right? No, but it looks really good here. Let's check the indicators. So it broke both EMA lines, and what happens? It comes back. So we're not going to freak out right now. You know, wait for some green. What happens? Let's go back historically. What happens? Red, green, red, green, 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 red. And then takes off and it gapped up. They broke it again. What do it? It gapped up. So maybe tomorrow, the next day, if we see a gap, we know that may be a little scary. But maybe a good idea to buy in if we do see a little bit of a gap up, right? Because that's what it shows historically. It needs to break both, needs to make big moves, and the 50 is going to be a real piece of work to get above. Super strong, but when it does, you'll be in the money. Oversold, let's see, made money. Well, it would take you, yeah, would have made money. Would have made money. Would have, yeah, it would have made money. Would have bounced back quickly. So that's a really good sign. Stochastic is stupid oversold. Vortex is stupid low. So again, everything points to a reversal here. It just depends if the uptrending line will beat that downtrending channel. And that's what it's going to come down to, like Godzilla versus King Kong. Which one's better? We all know that King Kong is worse than Godzilla, but that's okay. If you have a different opinion, you're actually just wrong. So that's okay. No, I'm kidding. So DD looks really, really good. Let's check the next one. GPS, or as we like to call it, recalculating. Tastes like depression. No. So this is Gap Inc. My assumption is that this is Banana Republic and Old Navy and the clothing company. I personally rock the shit out of Banana Republic clothing because there's an outlet store and it's hella cheap and I look hella basic, which is dope. But GPS, I fuck with, so that's great. Good for them. I don't swear a lot, but I gotta let them know Banana Republic slaps at all times, and the Gap's overpriced, but that's okay. Back on track. It's an obvious triangle that was forming, and then what happened? It broke above it, and then what did I do? Retest, and now it's taking off. Now, this is quite a lot of risk if you want to go in for a long-term hold, but you can easily see maybe 7, 10, 12% on a good run here, and it does have a history of breaking above it, and it's really starting to make its own support lines down here. So if you like retest plays, this one's for you. It has confirmed, and last time it was up here, the worst that's going to happen, up 1.4%, probably break even. I guess in 4.5%, but you want to see a big move. I like that it's still uptrending. If you were to get rid of this right here, you'd be like, yeah, this is a perfect play for sure. Right, so you have a really big channel to work off of. It just came into it, moved up. First pullback, and then it may move up. So, but historically, what happened? It took almost 13 days of consolidating here. So don't be surprised if you need to wait for this one to really show some moves, but GPS is a great setup nonetheless. Let's check the indicators. So it just broke the 250. That's Papa's favorite setup. That's really good. That shows some really good strength. Obviously, RSI is a little bit overbought from where it was. Take that in consideration, but on these uptrends, it doesn't get much lower than where it is now. As you can see, it gets lower. It gets probably about, we're about there. So 52, it was just there. If it continues to uptrend, that makes sense. The stochastic isn't the greatest indicator on uptrend. See how it kind of gets wacky over here. But it still says there's room to run. And the vortex just came down, was like, F you red, I'm going to stay green. So that's a good sign. Everything looks pretty good. 8 out of 10. More risk than I usually like to take. but it's above both EMA lines. If that's your thing, this is a great setup for you. Next is LL Lumber Liquidators. I assume what their job is they just take wood and then they turn it into water or some kind of liquid paper. That's pretty cool. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that. But so Lumber Liquidators, an obvious uptrend here. Wrong color. Obvious uptrend here. Make it a little channel for loading zone. Boom, look at that. You have your taps here. You're right there. Okay, and you'd be like, well, it's only, it's $20 stock. It's a little bit more expensive than some other ones. Yeah, but worst case here, 10%. Best case, almost 30% of this stupid lumber company, right? That's fantastic. It's a great setup. It's a great channel. It's been moving fantastic recently. I like it a lot. Let's check the indicators. So it's bouncing near the 200. Let's do some math. It broke the 200. It took 4 days. It broke the 200. It took 6 days. It broke it over here. It took 6 days. It took it 0 days. It took it 7 days. So we have some time historically for this one to develop. And again, the whole purpose of the show is that you put this on a watch list, you do it yourself, you go, yeah, you know what? Let this play a lot, I'm gonna watch it. And then you wait a few days, it takes off, you make money, and then you're happy with me and you're like, wow, what a good guy. I'm like, I know. Who knew my pink hair would make you so much money? That's really cool. And then we're all happy together and we all make a song and a dance. Really good channel here. RSI could be a little bit lower, but it also is showing some life, which you want to see. Stochastic is low. That's an obvious divergence, right? That's up to down. That's down to up. Obvious divergence is developing, unless this bad boy, nope, that makes sense. Yep, it's really good. Unless this one really does crash farther down, then it wouldn't be. But currently showing a divergence, and Vortex is dummy low. So really good pickup. I have faith it's going to keep going. I like it a lot. Lumber Liquidators, shout out to you, whatever lumber you're liquidating. I appreciate your hard work. Next is TEVA. We call TEVA over here, and I was like, hey guys, this one's making a good move. And I bought it like over here, and I was like, hell yeah. And then it sold off, and I was like, hell yeah. And then I consolidated, and I sold it. And then I come back like weeks later, and it was like, see a nerd, and took off a bunch. So if you've been with me for a while, you remember TEVA. I was like, don't sell this bad boy. I sold it. So obvious channel up here, obvious uptrend right once, twice. Broke, but came back 3 times, and you can see it's strong because you see where it ends. It's like, oh, this channel's back here. So again, that's a strong channel. It tapped in today. Now I called it on my Discord. I was like, hey, look at TEVA. You would have bought it and be up 4.5% right now, which would have been tight for you. And that's okay. I don't think anyone did, but validity's there. Earnings, crashed. Maybe give it a day or two if you're really worried about earnings plays. But this is its own channel now. It's showing higher lows. You can come over here and say, yeah, it's definitely moving up. Plenty of room to run up. You can easily run another 4.5% here, at least if you don't get a full move. But again, it survived earnings, looking really good. Let's check the indicators. So it bounced off the 200 just fine. If you want to wait for it to break the 50, it's not a terrible idea, but it may hit that and come back down. But it's sandwich. It's going to make some consolidation here. And that's all good. RSI is super low. It does get oversold, but it does reverse here as well, so that's really good news. Stochastic is super low. Vortex is also pretty low. So 7 out of 10. When I called this morning, it was a 10 out of 10. But given the fact that it's still shooting up really quickly, I can't tell if the earnings report was an overreaction. Now it's recovering, or if it's going to be like over here. See how it's like earnings, and then it came back up to this to go some more. So you don't want to have that happen. So maybe give it a day or two to make sure, but TEVA is still a good set for you. If you're a beginner, make sure you stop the video here and take your ball and go home. You have plenty of good plays to go off of. At least 1 or 2 of those should appeal to you. If you're an intermediate trader, stick around. I got some more to look over and give you guys some more plays for you. Let's check it out. If you're new to my channel, what's up, new kid? We don't turn off the indicators during the intermediate section just because it takes up too much time, and I want y'all to have time to do your own thing and go through these. First is BZH, simple to retest play. You have a new support here, right? It was a resistance, it was a support, and then it got blasted through, and now we're testing this channel, which again, I did not redraw this today. I drew this weeks ago, and it was perfectly lined up, and now it's retesting it fine. It's up almost 4% today, which is great. It tapped down, came back. It has plenty of room to run up. You could even argue a possible triangle is forming here. We'll see what it does. And if that's the case, it makes a little pennant and it goes off, it's going to be crazy. But BZH is a good setup nonetheless. It's surviving here. I like it a lot. Next is CARR like Derek. It's a really good trend lined up. And I called it yesterday saying, man, give it a few days. Well, we're right at the bottom. You know, it could maybe get another 1.5% lower, but we're right at the bottom. This trend line, once, twice, 3 times, it's really held well throughout this. The support's held well. Easily going to make 4 or 5%, hopefully, if not closer to 12. It's a really good setup. I like it a lot. You would have liked to see a full move over here, and I guess they really did get close to a full move. You know, it made a pretty good one. So really good setup, great value, great area for a stop loss. It's pretty evident. You know, below these 2 lines, you'd cut it and then rebuy in 2.5%. That's fine. But CARR is looking really good nonetheless. Next is CERN, CERN. It's in the channel and it's surviving perfectly. So it's like, hey, look at this channel, and now it's coming up. Now the earnings is coming, so don't get too crazy. But if this has good earning reports, yeah, it may take off on you. Really good area of value, looking really good. Come back to the 50. CERN is a good pickup nonetheless. I call CHWY often because I love CHWY often. Easy channel up. We called it here. You're like, hey, it's in the channel, and we end up almost 13% again, and now it's back in the channel. Is it going to go back up again? Well, it might. This is definitely an ascending triangle, and that's my favorite play. So when this finally breaks out and goes up, it's going to go even stupider. So I think CHWY is a fantastic setup. It's just okay because I call it every other day at this point, so why even bother going in depth on it? But everything looks good for it. CHWY's a good setup. DAO absolutely crapped the bed. It was like kerchoo and took down. Now, this is not a good trend line. It's been alive twice now. And if it does live here, it will be a good trend line. But you're right at the bottom of a support area. Like worst case, 5% more risk, but all the indicators look really good. Could easily run back up 10, 15, 20% if this was just an overreaction to something. So it's a really good support area. Good trend line. It looks really good. DAO, a good setup, but doesn't have much more going for it besides that support line. But it's a really good support line nonetheless. We've called EBR before, and damn it, it spited us, but we made our money back, which was nice. It is currently at a good value here. Is this a possible trend line? Well, since today it kind of got broken. So it's a good support area. It's at the POC consolidating. It did break the 50, but now it's kind of below it, and that's why I called it. So wait on EBR, see what it does tomorrow. I liked it more this morning when I found it again, but we'll watch it. It's okay. It's okay. Next is ERIE, like the lake. What's up, Ohio? So it looks really good here. It's retesting this high, and it may come back down. I wouldn't be mad. If it does come back down, I would not be mad. But it is retrying this volume area right here. If it does test this and keep going and make a full move to make another 10%, I also wouldn't be very surprised, to be honest with you. It looks like it's gearing back up. It's gearing the stochastic up to go back down. All those kinds of good things. If it does drop beneath this volume line, which it looks like it's going to do, definitely wait, because it does come back down to 243 or 240. Definitely throw the Brinks truck at it, because this is a really good setup nonetheless. But for now, it's testing that volume line. If it does hold here, it's going to be a really good sign for the stock. Next is FLXN, like me. Not really. So FLXN just broke the 200, and it does do that often to come back. This thing is a bit sporadic. I would like to get in at 1134, maybe even 1150, and it's kind of curling off, doing bad. But every single time, right, it's like green candles in a good area value, takes off, green candles, takes off, green candles, takes off. So if we can get down just a little bit lower, this is going to be a really good stock. It did get close to it over here, so it's kind of come back up and shown some life. That's really good. It has plenty of room to run, 10% easy. Even if you kind of mess up the entry in this one, you should be able to make some money. But FLXN does look really good. It just depends on if it's going to get a little bit lower. And, if it does get lower on the R side, that'll be really good. But all indicators say it's going to reverse. It could be a little bit lower. I have called FSLR 4 times now, and it's being a jerk. It's right in this area of value. It's just going sideways in the 200, which is fine. You could be like, well, that sucks. Yeah, but this is definitely going to be your stop loss. So if it breaks all this, you know where you're supposed to be cutting it at. Plenty of room to be made. It's looking really good for that. It's just taking forever. If you would have bought in right at the bottom of the channel, it'd still be up, 4.5%. You can make something. But it's trying to break this 50. Once it takes it over and holds it, it's going to be a really good sign. Let's see what it does tomorrow once it breaks the 50. But if it does break it, but if not, you got to wait for that. Next is MDLZ. You would think MDLZ was a 10 out of 10, and you'd be right if it had one more thing, and that is risk versus reward. Right now, if you were to drop down, you'd lose 8.5%. Even 2%, it's like, shit, that's far down there. But what's that mean for reward? If you were to live here and do a full move, you're going to get 6.5%. So it's slower moving, but what's good about a stock like this is you can throw a bunch of money at it and you're not going to really stress about it because it moves pretty slow. It does break down. I mean, this thing did break down almost 4%. 4%, and it came back. So really good trend line here. It's showing some life. It's right at the bottom of the channel. It's an A1 setup. It's just that the reward is like super small. So it's like, do you want to like throw $10,000 at a stock to make $600? Like, that's cool if you want to wait a month or two. So not the best for opportunity costs and trading off with other stocks, but it survived earnings pretty well, and now it's an area of value. It looks really good. One could also attach all these lines and be like, well, it's also a broadening wedge down, as you can see. And when they broaden out, they don't last forever. So this is definitely not going to be the strongest downtrend ever. It should break eventually. But MDLZ looks pretty good. Oh, sweet, sweet baby OCFT. It's right back down to value. We called it over here. It went kerchoo. And then we called it over here and went kerchoo. So it's making money. It's not printing. It's not like, Sandal the last few days. But it's something. It looks really good. It just needs to get maybe a little bit lower. If you can get anywhere from $20 to 1964, anywhere from 1960 and up, good value in this area if you can get it. So I'd wait maybe another day or two and see if it gets down lower. But easy horizontal channel play, super obvious where the stop loss should go. OCFT, always been pretty consistent. PSNL, whoever wants to die and messes up for me, holler at your boy, because PSNL cannot break or die ever. It's the best stock of all time. Just kidding, I just like it a lot. So it is in this area of value. The best area is definitely like down here where it's kind of running, but it just loves the 200. It loves it like a brother. So if it comes down any farther, that's cool, because we'll just buy the 200 and throw the Brinks truck at it. So looking good. It's definitely that channel value that we like to play off of. Can easily run 5 or 6%, maybe even 7 on a good day. Looking really good here. RSI is in the middle. It's consolidating, consolidating, consolidating. It wants to make a big move. I'm going to assume up, because the day that PSNL dies is the day that a part of my heart dies. No, it looks really good though. PSNL, keep it on your radar. Second to last, just like me and all my love affairs. So the, that's funny. SPLK is definitely a horizontal triangle. Looks really good here. It just needs to break the EMA lines. I keep saying this and harping on it. The second it breaks above both these, you need to go long for sure. You can buy into this great area of value. It's definitely uptrending, showing higher lows. So if it does break below these other lows, 3.5%, you can just buy back in later. But if it breaks both EMA lines, it's going to go dummy. As you can see, it's like, oh, I broke the 50, then whoa, and then, oh, I broke the 50, and whoa. So that's what you want to catch, is that move. So watch it on your radar. Once it breaks above like 174.05, you need to go long for sure. And lastly is WYY. It does have a good 50 EMA bounce going on right over here. It's just bouncing nice, bounce, 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 bounce. And it was down here today showing some green. It can easily run another 11%. This one has a lot of volatility behind it. It likes to bounce off of that. The 200 is close by if you want to wait for that, which I think is a dumb idea. Sorry. So it looks really good. RSI reverses in this area. Stochastic is low and showing a divergence at the moment. And then the vortex is also pretty low. So a good setup, not great. I wish it was down here again, a better value. But WYY nonetheless looks really good. So there you have it. Those are your 8 great plays and your additional good plays. Again, if you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing, hitting the like notification and the bell notification. Otherwise, check out the description for the Discord link and all the written plays. One last thing to mention is that the TOS import charts are not working. The update ruined those. So I'm talking to TOS right now to see what we can do. In the meantime, I cannot supply those if they're not going to work. I can just share them, and then when they get back up, maybe you can have the links ready to go. Otherwise, this is it for the night. If you need anything else, please let me know. Otherwise, have a good one. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks.